can we prevent gaming disorder and technology addictions?
Okay, so there is different levels of actions. One is clearly the regulation. It means potentially regulate the industry regarding some of the products they put in the games. For example, microtransaction system, loot boxes, those kind of things which can be very problematic for vulnerable people, including young people. So this is the first way to act. Second is information and prevention. So we should have more systematized program, for example, for parents, for children, also at school.
Control, for example, screen time in all people, or just when we talk about youth and childhood?
I have an issue with the simple fact of speaking about screen time, because what is important is not necessarily the amount, is what you do and how you do and with who. So for example, it's clearly not the same if a child, age 8 is with a mobile phone alone in his room for 2 hours, or if he's in a place where the parents are here to supervise or even to do something with or to supervise. So it's not a question, and it's also depending of the activities. Some activities, some applications are not designed for some ages. So it's clearly not a question of amount. Of course, there is moment where it's less recommended to use smartphones and screens, typically before sleeping and stuff, because it could interfere with going then asleep, or so there is things like this, but we should be careful with the notion of screen time.
We have to think also that we live in a society in which screens are necessary in our daily lives.
This is the very important, and it also allows to consider the difference between dependence and addiction, because we are all dependent on these devices.
Yeah.
As you said, just for living, just for buying things, finding your way and stuff. So when it comes to this device, it's complex to consider problematic use, dependence, addiction. And addiction is something that is characterized by functional impairment and suffering and loss of control. So this is what the key point.
Loot boxes and microtransactions are a problem, and why?
They are problematic because they are akin to gambling. It's really you buy something, you want to know the result in advance, so there is probabilities for obtaining different things, and most of the time you lose, a bit like in gambling. And the specificity of the gaming context is that games that are proposed for 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old include elements that are akin to gambling, while in most jurisdictions gambling is prohibited before an age of 16 or 18. So this is clearly a problem in terms of regulation, and I hope that there will be more success in regulating the industry regarding the kind of microtransaction, including loot box, but not only, they including games.
Mm-hmm. When do a person stop gaming and begin gambling? Sorry.
There is not a single trajectory. Mm-hmm. What is certain is that a lot of young people who have never been involved in gambling will be confronted to gambling through video games. So this is probably the most obvious way. It not necessarily means they will go into traditional gambling, whether it is offline or online, but they will be involved in risky behavior and behavior that are related to gambling, and in some cases it can engender issues, the same kind of issues you have in gambling disorder.
Which are the risks for mental health using technologies?
Okay, so mental health problem is a risk for developing excessive use of technology, but also an excessive use of technology could be a risk to promote mental health issue. For example, some people, when they feel depressed, when they are anxious, they can use technology and different type of applications to regulate their moods, whether it is gaming, social networks, or social media, or porn, or different type of applications. But of course, when you enter into, for example, an addictive behavior, it will have negative consequences, and in this case, the excessive use can result in mental health issues. So it's a complex question, and it depends on the people, but it can be both. Mental health issue provoke excessive use, or the opposite.
Okay. And last but not least, how can we prepare youth for using with no risk, for example, social media?
I don't think it's possible to use social media with no risk, but I think we should increase the knowledge and the literacy about the risk. And also we should try to promote mindful use of social media, meaning people knowing why they are using them and what are the risks and what is at stake, and so. But it's an illusion of thinking it's possible with no risk.
Okay.
But again, there is also a lot of benefits.
Okay.
So we should not pathologize. Yeah, we should not pathologize the use. This is just evolution of society. So we should not look at it with the look of someone who, for example, feel very strange that everyone is behind a screen or stuff. It's just evolution of society. There is risk, there is benefit, but we need education and awareness.
Okay. Fantastic, Joël. Thank you.
Okay,
very
great.
much.
Thanks.